Hello people of the earth and welcome back to QuickSaveTV. My name is Mike and today we're going to talk about one of the most important aspects of State of Decay 2. The management of your personnel, the management of your characters, which are by far the most important resource in State of Decay. This particular video I'm filming on the Dreadzone difficulty. When I make this guide, I think about Dreadzone and Nightmare Zone. I do not think about Standard Zone because the rules there are not punishing at all, right? In Dreadzone and Nightmare Zone, it's different, and new rules apply. More specifically, in Dreadzone, zombies become a staggeringly larger threat, and on Nightmare Zone, people and freaks become staggeringly larger threats. So that's what I'm thinking about. So, what the hell do we talk about when we talk about characters in State of Decay 2? Well, I have my little book here, and I'll try to cover all the bases here as we touch all the bases, as we try to explore it. So there's a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about today. Some of them are, well, the basic precept, right? There are two ways to play State of Decay 2, right? And first way is to find the character that you enjoy, characters that you enjoy visually. Like, if you ask me, from my characters here, I enjoy Devon visually, I enjoy Sarah visually, I enjoy Kimi visually, and Vic. Right? This is my visually favorite characters. Does it make them good characters? No. Who is my favorite character story here, right? From all of these characters. Maybe Jasmine, right? The combination of being a theater nerd and insomniac, but also being a warlord, makes her an ideal choice for me as a leader because I really appreciate the combination of traits that she has. It seems really interesting, really funny to me, right? And I find her an interesting person. Does it mean she's a great character? No, not necessarily. She's a god-awful character in some ways, and she's a fantastic character in some other ways. When it comes to straight combat, she's really bad, because she has a penalty to stamina, and she has an increased fatigue severity. So when she starts to get tired, she starts to get tired significantly more. But from the other side, she has a fantastic skill, the hero bonus, called Analytical Methods. What does it do? Well, it increases the experience rate of every character in my community by 50%. And that's a colossal benefit if you think about it. Every skill levels up 50% faster. That is insane. That is really valuable on its own, right? So even though she's an awful fighter, she's at her max, she will be worse than some of my other characters. She offers an invaluable asset to the team and makes me consider her for future playthroughs. Now, that's, again, as I said, so two things we can focus on. If you want to focus on visual aspects, I'm not going to recommend you anything. I cannot recommend you anything because you decide what you find visually appealing and what you find not appealing, right? Visually and in terms of character, what do you like and stuff. Because realistically, in this game, you will spend a lot of time just searching for survivors that you like and trying to protect them. Now, the more reasonable approach when you play on higher difficulty settings is approaching the game from a more practical standpoint, and let me show you what I mean. So again, we took a look at Jasmine. She has some deficits in terms of her fighting capabilities, but she has a fantastic lichenology skill, which allows me to get 2 medicine per day by default, and she's also able to obtain higher amounts of she's able to upgrade my gardens into the medicinal herbs production, which is really useful for me also if I wanted to go down that route, right? So she has an interesting set of skills. But I personally, my favorite character is Esmeralda. And I'll let you know what I mean, right? So right now I'm playing as another character. Look at her stats right now. They are impressive in terms of health because I have a bunch of bonuses available. I have my cooking going, I have my medicine going, right, the primary care, and I have my feast going. Now, if I select Esmeralda, take a look at your stats. She has a colossal amount of stamina and a nice amount of health, and that is not her peak. That is not her peak yet. She will have higher stats in a little bit. She will have higher health. She will have a slightly higher stamina, I believe. But the point is, she has a great combination of skills. And let me show you why I think that. She has a terrible hero bonus, in my eyes, that allows me to store more fuel. I don't appreciate it. It's useless. But look at the other things. She was a sewer worker, so she has plumbing skill. And which is on its own giving me plus 20 stamina. right? But also she's able to construct the fantastic toilet facilities and the latrines, which are important when you think about morale, right? They're very, very useful, and they're very useful in the early game, in my eyes. So she's a great early game character, not only because she has increased stamina, but also because she allows me to construct. Once I enter the new map with just 3 characters, I am able to construct a latrine, and I am able to upgrade it, which makes me really happy. Now, her combination of skills that I was able to obtain is marathon, stealth, endurance, and weapon handling. But about it in a minute. She has additional skills. She never cries, so her injury severity is decreased. So when she gets bitten, burned, shot, etc., the injuries that she receives are... Take a look. She has a missing chunk of flesh, which reduces her max health by 1. That is nothing, right? Every other character that gets this wound, in my experience, get a... Well, I cannot show you right now, but gets like -5, -10, -15. She got -1, right? So she doesn't even feel it. And she got some scrapes from zombies. 0, right? No impact on her. So it's so low that it actually got rounded down to 0. Because of her Never Cry trait and my taking of the endurance skill, which also decreases injury severity. So these 2 skills in combination will reduce the severity of her injuries by 65%. Yes, can I count? Yeah, fantastic, 65%. Additionally, she has ability, a skill that's called Will Eat Anything, right? She eats half the rations, which is extremely important on higher difficulties because people there eat more. They eat 1.5 supplies per day as opposed to 1 supply a day, right? Which is really important. It's really important to try to cut it down as much as you can. So she's a great early game character overall, and that's something you look for when you enter a new map, because every new map is a land of opportunity but also a land of danger, right? Good. Now, additionally, her skill Never Cries gives her 10 max health. Now let's talk about her skills, which is really also very important, right? She has marathon and stealth. It's a great combination because in stealth I can sprint, and with marathon I can sprint for longer times. So I can move around extremely quickly with the marathon skill and do so in stealth, which is really important. Again, on the highest difficulty in the game, the Nightmare Zone, stealth becomes paramount to your survival. You cannot survive without using stealth. It becomes incredibly difficult for you to successfully tackle a lot of challenges in the game, and stealth becomes paramount. Now, your skill of endurance I took for another reason. There's obvious synergy with Never Cries and endurance, right, in terms of injury severity. Good, but that's not what I took it. I took it also because it increases max health. And on highest difficulty in the game, the real 2 threats you encounter are groups of juggernauts. And juggernauts, even a single juggernaut is not fun to deal with, and as you well know if you play the game. But several juggernauts is an extreme pain in the ass, and they can easily dismantle a small community of your friends and a small group that you bring alone, right? Unless you play with players online. But if you play solo, jugs are a massive threat. Next, the second threat is the people, of course. The enemy combatants, the enemy survivors, which try to take you down. They're very scary because they can one-shot you. And the way you protect yourself against that is by increasing your health. There is no armor in the game. So the only way to survive the encounter against the other survivors is to decrease the injury severity and increase your health. So every time they wound you, it's not lethal, and you can take more punishment. It's really important, right? And the last one is not my favorite, but it's alright, weapon handling. It's also a great skill because it allows me, if my weapon breaks down, I'm trying to ignore all my quests to talk to you, but it's alright. So, whenever my weapon breaks down, I can fix it in the field, which is also really nice when you use some of these guns and you don't have time to go back, right? So, in my eyes, Esmeralda is essentially an ultimate soldier, right? She's one of the greatest characters I have organically encountered in the game, and she has one of the best skill combinations I've ever seen so far. And she still has a slot for one more here, because the way you get to know the characters is by taking them with you on missions and talking with them in your car or outside the car when they tell about themselves. And sometimes I think the skills can be beneficial, but in my experience they haven't been. Now, so I've been talking a lot about this, but this is the basic concept we think about. We try to think about synergy of different things, and we try to think about the value of a specific character to us and our playstyle. I understand what I want to have at the highest difficulty, and what kind of character I want to take with me. And you must as well. You must learn to understand what you need. Because I can tell you, well, I like to use this, this, and that. And you can say, man, that sucks. I don't like it. Then you have to adjust. You have to find your own playstyle and find what works for you. Okay, coming back to the characters. Now, there's a couple more ideas I want you to think about when we think about characters. And the following is this. So I said before that practical way to approach it is to select the best characters, but how do you do that? Well, you have to cooperate with these communities which are located all over the place. You have to try to become their allies in order to recruit their people, right? And you have to recruit the characters you find interesting. For me right now, the way I recruit characters is I select any character with a special star skill, right? Because I want to learn what the hell this skill does. Sometimes I select a character that I need, let's say a mechanic, let's say a plumber, let's say a medic, right? And that's how I recruit my characters, because usually you can only select one character from a group of 3, so you have to really think about it. Also, a good way to look at it is to compare his stats visually. So if he has strangely low health and stamina, he probably has some negative effects here. And if he has limited stars here, again, he might have some limiting factors in here. Because the traits are hidden from you, but their effects are usually apparent. So that's how you can also do that. Now, so what do I mean by saying, so you have to recruit them, and oh, I didn't say it. So you have to give people a fair shot, a fair chance. What do I mean by that? Well, it's not piss. It's good. Trust me, it's good. It's a nice homemade brew. Now, what do I think? What do I try to say? What do I mean by that? What do I mean giving people a fair shot? Well, in my opinion, Vritika is a shit character. Although she has a cool skill of law, which I think I would appreciate, but not necessarily, I think your combination of factors, which are respect, authority, and clumsy, are very, 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 very bad to the point of crippling her, right? Not being able to level up fighting above level 4 means that I can never level it up to prestige skill, right? I can never choose striking, or blade master, or close combat, or endurance. I cannot physically do this. So she's crippled from the get-go. But what I'm interested in is your hero bonus, and I don't know it. I don't know it yet. And the only way to find out what the hero bonus is to level her up to the citizen standing with the community. And that's what you have to do with every character. Before you even think about exiling your character, level her up to level of the citizen to see what kind of benefit she will give. Because characters like this, like Jasmine, with fantastic hero bonus, sometimes have very severe drawbacks. And that's fine. That's completely fine. Because I will definitely take Jasmine to my next playthrough to the highest difficulty of the game. Yeah, I've been already playing on it on my other with my other community. I will take her there. Why? Because analytical methods is paramount to my playstyle of finding new recruits. I think it's really, really important, and I really appreciate having her on the team, despite her being an insomniac, right? So that's what I'm saying. And that brings me to the next topic. When you understand that the character is essentially worthless. I know how it sounds, but you have to think about the survival of your community. And you cannot afford to be soft-hearted here. Only on the most basic difficulty of the game can you be soft-hearted about it, because you can actually take care of them. You have to understand that every character you have eats every day and doesn't necessarily bring anything to the table. And this is a problem. And this is a problem because you're the one who's going to have to procure all this food. Look how much I'm straining my possibility to just provide enough food for them, right? I have 2 gardens. I constantly seed them, right? And I have water supply here. And all of this just to have +2, +2.5. It's going to be +3, +3.5 of food. Then I also have 2 food outposts just to feed my people. You see? And if I don't do that, they will starve. So I'm trying to minimize my losses from having a lot of people. And there are two apparent threats for this, right? You have a higher threat level and you have increased food consumption. So you have to think about that. I constantly exile people I don't find appealing. And I will exile Vritka if I cannot find a use for her. That's brutal, that's ruthless, I understand. But this is the only way your community will succeed. Your community will thrive and benefit from having all these people around. Because their survival is not your problem. Your problem is the survival of people you care about, and you have to choose wisely who you care about in this game. Okay, so let's see. Maybe I have some more topics to cover with you. Yeah. There's one more thing I wanted to talk about. So we talked about traits briefly, but and by traits, we mean, we talked about traits and we talked about the skills, but very briefly. I didn't say much about them. There are a bunch of skills in the game. I think there are 8 of them, 8 of the major skills. We have computers, doctoring, mechanics, chemistry, utilities, gardening. I'm trying to do it from memory. It's an interesting exercise for me too. So I have 7. And 8 is, I really don't remember, but it doesn't really matter. So there's a lot of the skills. Not all of the skills are equal, baby. Obviously, right? Obviously. But more importantly, all skills can be useful, but at different stages in the game. Again, depending on your playstyle. For my playstyle, for example, I don't find doctors necessary at the beginning of the game because I like to take with me the plague cure packages from my previous settlement, right? In form of this. Where are they actually? This. The cases of bulk plague cure. This is what I take with me. When I go to my next location, I take a bunch of them with me, like 3 of them, more than enough. That means I have 12 plague cures, and I don't have to think about the doctor for a very long time when I enter the map. You understand? And this is why I think doctors are late game characters, because they allow you to optimize your productions. Let me tell you who are the early game characters in my opinion, like from the top of my head. It's the plumber, the cook, and the nutrition specialist. Oh, that's the same, cook and nutrition. So why do I think that? Take a look. So the plumber, for example, has increased max stamina. That's already very good. That's already very good for an individual combatant. But a plumber can build a toilet, which increases morale significantly. Can build a latrine. When I talk about the gardener, right? Gardener is also really useful at the start of the game, because gardens can become a huge way you offset the eating of your group and start making resources, right? Then Sarah is a nutrition specialist. Again, a great character. She has max health increase, max stamina increase, and she's also able to produce from the kitchen a fantastic feast, which allows us to have higher morale and allows us to have higher stamina. In my case, I have both cuisine specialist and nutrition specialist, so I have absurd bonuses to morale and to my stamina. And it's very important, because when you run out of stamina, you become an extremely vulnerable target. When you run out of stamina, you're dead. So any way you can increase stamina is a very, very, very useful thing, especially at the start of the game. It allows you to sprint longer, it allows you to fight longer, it allows you to outrun certain threats, and it allows you to not die at certain scenarios. Of course, you will have snacks and energy drinks to help you with that, but it's also good to have a higher bar, because the higher the bar, the more efficient you can become with your supplies consumption and reach success, right? So, what else is happening? So what about some late game skills that I consider late game? Well, munitions, doctor, and electronics. All very good. Munitions is an exceptional skill. It's very good to produce good amount of bullets. So to use your ammunition stockpile more effectively. But do you need it at the start of the game? No, not really, because it's very difficult to start making ammo at the start of the game, right? And some of the best ammunition at the start of the game is essentially crossbow and crossbow bolts, right? And Molotov cocktails. So it's like it depends on your play style, but in my experience, they are not as useful at the start of the game, because you're also, when you start the game, you have a very, very small building to work with, and you can't really fill it with all the stuff you necessarily want. But you will always have a bed, a kitchen, a basic storage, and you will have 3 small slots to build in, right? And these slots for me always are infirmary, workshop, and the last slot I can always experiment a little bit. I can build latrines, I can build garden, I can build some other things that I can build, right? So it's there's not a lot of choice that I can go through that makes sense. I don't need a generator so early in the game. I don't need a water collector, water tank at the start of the game. So yeah. So again, I know we talked a lot about this, but I hope this video was useful for you, and I wanted it to be quite extensive, and I think I covered a lot of the topics in here. If you have any requests, tell me in comments below. I'll try to come up with something interesting as well in the future. I have a lot more time now with the Corona Bonanza extravaganza, and it's a bad thing, of course, but in every curse there is a blessing as well, in that I have more time to work on my channel and make something interesting for you guys to watch. Thank you as always for watching and listening. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you real soon.